I think it is important to clarify the difference between a devotee and a believer. In what I spoke previously, maybe in the couple of classes, maybe some of it is clarified. But still, what is the fundamental difference between a believer and a devotee? Because, as you know very well, in India also today, when they speak of the path of Bhakti Yoga, they very casually say that is the path of belief. They say belief is necessary. Oh, in Jnana Yoga and all, it is intellect. There you do inquiry. There is no belief required. But Bhakti is path of belief. Yes? So they say that one is the path of belief, another is another is not the path of belief, and therefore they try to project belief as some necessary ingredient in the path of devotion. So, what is the difference between a believer and a devotee? It's actually a very complex problem. I can't go into it in its entirety, and that is why I'm writing a book. I can't clarify it so easily, but I can give some fundamental. Now I'll ask you. In your mind, see, apart from what I have told, in your mind, were not these two things equated, devotion and belief?
Necessarily coupled, maybe yes, but maybe not really one and the same.
Okay, not one and the same, but belief is generally talked of as a necessary ingredient in the path of devotion. And even if you look at prominent speakers, sometimes speak like that. I don't know in what way they speak and what their clarification is. I'm not trying to dissect anybody. I'm trying to just look into this idea that people have, that belief is a necessary ingredient in the path of devotion, and they look at devotees as believers, and they look at jnana yogis as non-believers. They don't require belief. They are using their intellect and inquiring, whereas devotion is believing. It includes belief. It begins with belief and then it ends in realization. Yes, that is the cliche statement everywhere told. It begins with belief and ends in realization. Yes, isn't it? Now, you might have seen some of the basic things that I have written in this regard, differentiating the two. See, the first thing is, no matter what spiritual path it is, what is the essential and most fundamental aspect of any spiritual path? Why does somebody even think of a spiritual path and going to a spiritual path and wanting to do something? Why does it begin? What is the most essential factor?
There's some kind of dissatisfaction, sir. Wanting
to. Yes, continue.
There's a kind of dissatisfaction, I would call distress. And
there is a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me what kind of?
Some kind of search.
Okay, search is later. First thing is, whatever is in your life presently, whatever you are able to experience, you are discontent with it. Yes.
It is, yeah. It is unexplainable yearning. Something more or experiential, basically open to experiential movements is what I would say, beyond physicality. And that has been my path, and I've traversed a bit of it, so I may not be articulating it properly.
Yes, I understood. So if you are yearning for something more, I'm talking of experience. So if you are yearning for something more, it means whatever is on in our present experience looks unsatisfactory. We want more. That's why we want more. If it was satisfactory, we will not look for more.
100%, 100% yes. More and more and more and more and more. I what my personal has been relatedness quotient, which I have
What
seen.
quotient?
Relatedness, like you feel so related to things around you, to people, that is increasing. That is what I am seeing. Once or twice it has been like a bit of overwhelming also.
So what you're saying is happening. That's a later thing which is happening. What I asked is, why does the spiritual path even begin? So that you answered anyway.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Maybe the need to know the truth, what is beyond our physical existence, that we don't know.
So we can articulate it in many ways. We can articulate it in the language of knowing. I want to know something more. Or you can articulate it in another language, saying, what is in my experience is not satisfactory. I want to experience something further. So these are all different ways of putting it. The spiritual path basically begins because of a certain dissatisfaction, and there is a hunger for something more. Yes?
Yes.
Now, why is it that this hunger for more is showing up in only some people, and only in some people it is very intense, and in others it is not intense, and in many people I won't say that it is absent in any human being, it is there in all human beings. Why is it that this hunger is in varied intensities across people? Why is it that in some people it is so high, and why in some people it is not so strong? Yes.
On this aspect, I have applied my mind and observing people around me, at least for last 10-15 years. And in my view, it is because of masking. That thing is masked by basically selfishness and jealousy. Means the comparative and the selfishness and jealousy. I mean, I have many small incidents also to differentiate and judge. So this quotient of empathy and you can say relatedness, and the inverse are selfishness and jealousy.
Okay. Shripad wants to say something.
I was going to say that I think it depends on the level of frustration that a person has with the questions within. And why I'm quoting it with the frustrations is, it's kind of the previous question that what led you over here and why it is varying in different people. For example, for me, the question was, got married at some point of time, but after marriage, kids, retirement, death, then what? And that was kind of a question that human life is not just meant for the circle of procreation and go on and think about retirement and have a security and move on. No matter what you do, or you can do a lot of things that gives you momentary pleasure with respect to involving in sports and hobbies, and I do a lot of things and many other people do, but it's momentary for that span of time.
Yes, that's fine. You are describing why your hunger flared up and why you started taking more. My question is different. I'm asking, why was the hunger not there in the first place? Why is it not showing up in the first place?
It depends on different factors in our life. It's not easy. There is no specific answer for that.
The answer, sir, I have a feeling it's a process of evolution.
Who is this talking?
Meera, sir.
Okay, yeah, tell me.
I feel it's a process of evolution where everybody is in a certain stage.
Okay, so what she's saying is this arising of the hunger itself depends on evolution. Meaning, so the more evolved you are, the more hunger there will be. Fine.
attachment to senses and sensual pleasures. More attachment.
So it is belief, I think. Belief itself is blocking it.
Maybe level of perception, like two people live same situation, they get exposed to same experience, same people, same education, and they live sometimes in same family, same environment, but the level of perception and action, interaction to these things is different.
I think it's the conditioning, sir. And we are conditioned a certain way, just like how a person just happens to be think differently and becomes creative. Similarly, he gets into something which he starts finding answers for. Like there is the thinking thought process different in two different people. So there is a conditioning which is actually influencing that thought process. So if he is very creative, he gets into probably like an Einstein. And if he has to be creative in a different way to get into spirituality also. So it's by chance, I feel.
So you're okay, fine. See, if it is a universal thing, what we were looking at is that this what we call as this spiritual hunger is not somebody's idea that they came up with, okay, I will do this. It is, we saw that it must be universal. You're just being subjected to it. So if one is subjected to it, one has that hunger for something more. Why doesn't the other one have? Or why is the other one, it's not getting expressed in the other one?
He's satisfied with what he has.
Yes. Okay. Huh? Somebody else.
Belief. So, I mean,
Yeah,
if
I
one
heard
person has.
Anindita said belief. They already have beliefs.
So is it not the conditioning which makes us to act in a certain way?
Conditioning. This is the many things that many of you said. If I put it, see, I'm not telling this is wrong, that is right and wrong. I'm just trying to find out what is the best way to put it. If somebody is not asking a question, could it be that he already thinks he has the answer?
If he is a stronger believer, from my experience, yes.
No, I'm not even talking of religion now. He has not been exposed to religion necessarily.
Yeah.
The religion part will come later. I will come to that.
Yeah, I said this because in Palestine, like they are Muslims. So when they speak from this aspect, like we are Muslims, believers. So for your question, I think if someone yes like thinks that he has the answer, it happens with many people that we know the answer, we know everything. You are wrong.
We will expand on this. But whatever you are saying as conditioning, as beliefs, and what did the other one say? Somebody said a few words like that. So can we summarize this to say that one gets questions because he realizes he doesn't have the answers. The other doesn't get the questions because he thinks whatever he knows presently are the answers. It need not even have to do anything with God. It need not have anything to do with all these great beliefs. It could be he could be a very simple village man. He's 30 years old. He will look around and he will see the most fundamental conclusion will be there, that I am an individual living in this world. and it goes with many facts which is in your perception, and they stop with that. They don't look further into it. They take their individuality as a final answer. Yes, they've
Yes.
taken their individuality as a final answer. They already have an answer that I am this and so and so.
Mm.
So when you have an answer and you're sure it is right, will a question come? This is one way of putting it. The other way of putting it is, if you put it in the language of experience, see, they are looking for something more. That is undeniable. Every human being is seeking. That is undeniable. It is only the question of how they are doing, how they are conducting their seeking. So there is a hunger in human being. They're always seeking for more, more, more. That is not deniable. So if you talk in terms of the language of experience, can we say that the man who doesn't get that hunger, in whom the hunger doesn't get expressed, he thinks that his mind can satisfy him with whatever experience he is looking for, physical and psychological both.
Mm.
There is so you can call it conditioning, you can call it, what is the other thing? You can say it is belief, you can say it's conclusion, something. There is already a strong conclusion that whatever I'm seeking, mind will help me with it. It will fulfill me, it will give me that more. The world will give me that more. The physical experience will give me that more, or my mind will give me that more. Which is basically a conclusion. See, they may not articulate it like that, but their behavior indicates it, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
Like if they're going after pleasure, somebody said pleasure, they're attached to pleasure. So if they're going after pleasure, it means there is a conclusion that it will give me what I'm seeking. Finally, it will come to a, so you can say, belief or conclusion, or some thought process has already been imprinted. And therefore, that is making people go after whatever they think will fulfill them. They will think pleasure will fulfill, or they will think a philosophy will fulfill them. There are various kinds of things you can go after. Some people will go after pleasure, some people will go after philosophy, concepts. They're basically saying my psychological experience will fulfill me, which means there is a fundamental conclusion. There's already a belief, which is, you can say, sedating the hunger. It is not allowing the hunger to actually come up. Now, why that came, which came first and all, I don't know, but it is there. That is the present situation. Even if you don't give any beliefs to a child, if you don't give any answers, you can, that will help them greatly. Presently, what is happening is the children will start asking questions and the adults will give them beliefs. They'll give them more beliefs. You see, the child already has beliefs, and that is why it is still an individual. It is maybe very, very unconscious. The child still thinks I'm an individual. Yes?
Yes.
The child doesn't think I'm one, I'm Brahmasmi, and all. The child doesn't say. The child is still an individual. It still has some very fundamental beliefs. But this hunger is also there, and the child will question. Now, the only thing that can be done is we can nurture the inquiring part, so that if the inquiry happens with some intensity, the hidden beliefs will also be challenged. See, when you say conditioning or beliefs or all this, they are all hidden conditionings, right? They are hidden beliefs. They are not overt beliefs. There are hidden beliefs in an individual as soon as they're born. It may not be expressing itself. There are hidden beliefs already. How it came and all, I don't know, but it is there. But the only good news is If you inquire, you can challenge them and erase them. So if you see in a child, the questioning tendency is more. He will go on questioning everything. Now, if you nurture the inquiring tendency, the child may not be able to do it because that inquiry is not sharp enough because it is erratically asking questions. But when the brain develops to a certain level, if inquiry happens properly, then the hidden beliefs will also start getting challenged.
Mm.
But what happens usually is, forget about challenging hidden beliefs, the children will get extra beliefs, more covering on the hidden beliefs. They'll start getting all these overt beliefs. The religions will give something, society will give something, parents will give something, so many things. Suppose the child asks the parent, when a child witnesses death for the first time, you can see the child is in shock because it doesn't know that there is something called death. Animal dying or whatever it is. So it will ask the parent, what is death? At that time, the parent should simply say, even I don't know, let us explore together when you grow up. But which parent says that? The parent will give a belief. Our great scripture says this is so, my Rishi said like that, my saint said like that, my prophet said like that, and you will give an answer.
Mm.
Now the parent also doesn't know, the child also doesn't know, only the sage knows who is not there anymore. So you will give overt beliefs and the inquiring will slowly get pushed back. And finally, the hunger is sedated when you become 20, 25. Yeah, I already know everything. I know what I am. I know where I will go after that. See, the moment belief transcends our present life, and if you give a belief about what happens after death, then it is very difficult to shake that human being. Because if you tell them what you are living is it's inadequate, your experience of life is so limited and you're wanting something more, immediately you will say, yes, after death I will. So it's very difficult. Once you give an after death belief, case is closed almost. You can't do much. Recently, one of my friends or relatives, whoever it is, came to my house, and she belongs to a particular sect. And she knows that I am into yoga and I've been teaching Bhagavad Gita and all this. So she started asking me, okay, what is it that you do? What kind of path you follow? And this and that. And she asked, and I started noticing time and again and again, she's coming back to the question of death. At the moment of death, what thought we should hold? I'm telling her, forget about death. You are just young. She's just few years older. Barely in her 40s, maybe. I don't know. Forget about after that. Why are you concerned about the moment of death? You're alive now. Do something about yourself now. No, but in the Bhagavad Gita, he has told moment of death is very important. What thought you hold at that moment will decide which loka you will go to. I said, what? Stop. Forget about what loka you will go to. If you think that all your spirituality will happen to you after death only, then what are you living for now? You're just waiting to die, are you not? You have dismissed the whole possibility of being alive and you're just talking about moment of death, and now it's very difficult to even make this person hungry for something more now because they have dismissed that this hunger anything can be done about this hunger now. They're only waiting for death. And this actually, I think, is another thing that has happened in India. I don't know if such kind of mindset existed in India 500 years ago. I think this is a recent happening because of religious influences. They're trying to do the same thing. We have our own loka, after that we will go there. We had all these swarga, birga, whatever business, but they never said your spirituality will happen to you after death. They never said that you will go to God after death. They had many other things about different levels of experiential planes and whatever, but they always emphasize that this is the karma bhumi. The other planes of experience are all just planes of experience. You can't do anything there. They're all bhoga bhumis. if you go by the traditional scriptures I'm saying. So they always emphasize, if you do something, you have to do now. So anyway, the whole spiritual process, whatever path it is, it doesn't matter what path it is, the whole spiritual process is about addressing these hidden beliefs, which is making you conclude something and live in a particular way, as if in a daze. You are not even getting the questions. Why? Because there are already very strong answers. You may not be articulating them, but you already have. And what some of you were telling, that as selfishness and jealousy are all coming out because of that. There is a conclusion, and it is giving rise to all these kinds of behaviors. So fundamentally, there are already some hidden beliefs. And the purpose of spiritual pursuit is just to facilitate that hunger which is trying to negate those hidden beliefs. See, just like with your stomach, when your stomach is, if you've already eaten junk and the stomach is upset, your body has the sufficient ability to correct itself. You just have to stop eating. If you stop eating and let it rest, it will recover its health. And then you can see how to enhance health and how to boost this health further. But health, that force which will make you healthy, is already there. The force which wants you to inquire into it, the force which wants you to negate the hidden beliefs, is already there. It's not something that you have to come up with. You just have to facilitate it. So if you facilitate it, that hidden beliefs will be countered. So the whole spiritual process is just to counter these hidden beliefs. We can do it in many ways, maybe. That's a different matter. But this is a fundamental problem, and what we call as spirituality is to tackle this fundamental problem. Now, if you say that no, some path is path of belief, you are going against this fundamental problem itself. You're facilitating the problem. You understand this? If we say the path of bhakti yoga is the path of belief, that you have to believe something and then do that, you are just saying, I will add one more layer of sedation upon already existing sedation. I will numb myself further and do spiritual seeking. This is contradictory. Devotees were only driven by their innate hunger, nothing else. See, that is the problem. That is, when that hunger shows up in a human being because of whatever they do, because of inquiring into themselves, or because of humbling their thought process, or whatever means it is, because of that, when their hunger starts expressing itself with full force, the other one, who is already having hidden beliefs, who is already sedated to some extent, a believer, when he looks at a devotee, what will he make of it? He will say, oh, he has a belief, and because of his belief, he's propelling himself. He is not propelling himself because of his psychological belief. That is a conclusion made by the believer. A devotee is not being propelled by his own psychological beliefs. He is being propelled by the hunger, which is countering his beliefs, already existing hidden beliefs. You see, the devotees are mad and they are crazy. You think they are being propelled by you look at what they speak and how they speak in their seeking phase. You forget about devotees. After they come to a certain state of realization, they'll speak in a different way. You don't look at that now. For example, you look at Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, a very classic example of a devotee. If you see his seeking phase, do you think he believed that there is a mother and I will realize mother? You look at some of his statements in his seeking phase, see, the hunger is there, and the hunger itself is conclusive that there must be something more. That is not his psychological belief. Your hunger, if it comes out, that by itself is an indication that there is something more. It is not that you decided that there is something more. So In him, you can see that hunger coming out. You can see him acting crazy. And you can see that sense of uncertainty in him. You won't see a psychological certainty in him. When people believe, they will have a sense of certainty. Yes, I know God is everywhere, God is omnipotent. They will talk like this. Believers will talk like that, very casually also. Like how my mother made samosa, they will tell my God made creation. They will use the word God as a knowledgeable piece very casually. If you look at devotees, that word God represents for them their hunger and that unknown which they are going after. They don't know what is it. If you see some of his statements, I'm talking about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, some of his statements I remember one of it, where he says, look at the statement carefully. He says, "Oh mother, are you true or are you all fiction? Are you really there, or is this all just poetry without any substance?" He used to really cry saying this. Now look at the statement carefully. His innate hunger has a certainty to it. That is, that there is something more, and that he's calling as mother. But psychologically, he's not converting it into a belief. Oh, there is mother will look after me and sleep. No, he's not sleeping off. He's asking, are you really there, or is this friction? Look at the contradiction. It's not actually a contradiction. That innate hunger which is there in a human being has an innate conclusiveness to it. But when it expresses itself, it is inconclusiveness. If you fault for psychological conclusions, psychological certainty, you are sedating that hunger. That innate hunger will do whatever it has to do. You don't have to bother about it. If you meddle with it and if you convert it into a conscious conclusion, certainty, then you are going against that hunger itself. I don't know, am I making myself clear?
Yes, yes.
So that innate process which life is trying to evolve, and whatever that process is trying to happen, that has a certain conclusiveness. See, when you look at a river flowing, the river has an innate conclusion that there must be a destination to it. That's why it is flowing. Because there is a destination, it is already flowing, but it doesn't know where it is going now. Just like that, when you have hunger and if you don't have any memory of having eaten food, the very hunger will make you search. That's it. It doesn't need you to believe there is food and data, blah, blah, blah. You will search food. That's all. If you're really hungry, you will search for it. So your search has a conclusiveness to it. But if you convert that conclusiveness into psychological conclusiveness, you're going in the backward direction. So the people who we call as devotees were driven by this innate hunger, and it is there in every human being, at least to this extent. It is there. I have seen even the most materialistic people suddenly going into some kind of question within them. This hunger is there in everybody. It is just that it is not being nurtured. So if you see, the moment I give a example like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you know what people say. These people are all great people. They dismiss all these people. They're all great. You know, when people call others great, what they're basically doing? They're dismissing them. I can't do it. So you leave Ramakrishna. But now I don't have that hunger. What should I do? No, you have. It is just that you are not doing the necessary thing to nurture it. And the other problem is when this hunger really comes, it's not comfortable. Is hunger comfortable? Hunger is not comfortable. It will bother you. It will give you some, you can say it is some kind of suffering. It's not purely suffering. I have clarified it in earlier talks. I won't talk about it again and again. But it has a sense of botheration about it. It is discomfort. And because it is discomfort, what is your immediate instinct? Sedate the stomach again. No hunger. Believe something again. Feel comfortable. And then say, I am on the path of Bhakti Yoga. You're just trying to avoid discomfort. See, there are mazes and mazes of psychological knots about this. This notion again comes because people look, it is another fundamental conclusion that people think that everything is duality. Yes, it's a very fundamental conclusion, isn't it? That everything is duality. So now there is comfort and there is discomfort. Which one is good? Comfort. How can spirituality be discomfort? Spirituality is not discomfort. It should be comfort. It should be peace and this serenity and comfort. They're confusing tamas with sattva. So the moment every human being has that little hunger, and every day that hunger comes up, not just once in a while. Once in a while it may come out more intensely. This hunger is there in every human being and it is bothering them all the time. And most people, do you know why they go to their puja room every day? To sedate that hunger. They go to their puja room and read Bhagavad Gita and do their chanting and do Gana Gana Banta and whatever they're doing. They're doing all that to find comfort, to sedate that hunger which is trying to come out. Their whole life they're doing this. If I have to put it very bluntly, they're paying hafta to a rowdy to keep the rowdy quiet. Otherwise, the rowdy will bother them. So, when a person is in this condition, it doesn't matter what you give them. You give them Bhagavad Gita, they will convert Bhagavad Gita into a pillow. They will keep Bhagavad Gita under their head and they will sleep. Not actually, but literally. You give them God, case closed. You give them whatever it is, they'll convert it into comfort. Because this is fundamental notion. Now everything is duality. So comfort is the one which has to be preferred over. No, see, if the comfort is to be preferred over, then tomorrow morning you should not get up from bed. Sleep is comfortable. Sleep yourself to death. Getting up is getting up comfortable, tell me. If you want to talk in the language of duality, sleep is comfortable, getting up from sleep is not comfortable. It requires you to move your limbs and so many things. If what we are seeking is comfort, we should just sleep ourselves to death. And then anyway, God will take care of us, isn't it? After that. So people may not be sleeping like this physically. Nobody will sleep like this physically. But psychologically, that is all that is happening. There are already hidden beliefs, which is sedating the human being, which is not allowing them to ask questions. And instead of asking questions and negating the hidden beliefs, they are making further beliefs and finding comfort in it. This is the vicious cycle that is happening, and it is mostly applicable to the path of devotion. It is applicable to all spiritual paths in some way or the other. But God is a global star, and path of devotion is the most corrupted one because it has reached to all corners of the globe, and Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga and all are not that popular. Whichever is the most popular has been the most corrupt. So a devotee is seeking not because of their beliefs. They are seeking because they are hungry. And it's not because of, they have not made up their hunger. That hunger is there in everybody. We are only sedating it further and further and further.